to insurance agents. Don't know if very many of you are aware of this, but Craig Jeltsin, who generally joins me on these calls, will no longer be participating in the calls since he is moving over to Mr. Electric as their Vice President of Operations. So we wish Craig a lot of success in his new job. We do have on the call today Ron Clausen, who a lot of you guys know. Does a lot of our CE classes. We have Tom Schersick, one of our BDAs. We have also Debbie Harding, and then Aaron Miller out of our Waco office, the administrative assistant, is on here. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to start out with our code of values. So I'm going to go ahead and start it off. We live our code of values by treating others as we like to be treated.
We live our code of values by listening with the intent to understand what is being said and acknowledging that what is said is important to the speaker. Debbie.
We live our code of values by responding in a timely fashion.
We live our code of values by speaking calmly and respectfully without profanity or sarcasm.
We live our code of values by acknowledging everyone is right from their own perspective.
We live our code of values by making only agreements we are willing, able, and intend to keep.
We live our code of values by communicating any potentially broken agreements at the first appropriate opportunity to all parties concerned.
We live our code of values by looking to the system for correction and proposing all possible solutions if something is not working.
We live our code of values by operating in a responsible manner above the line.
We live our code of values by communicating honestly and with purpose.
We live our code of values by asking clarifying questions when we disagree or do not understand.
We live our code of values by never saying anything about anyone that we would not say to him or her.
We live our code of values by continuously striving to maximize internal and external customer loyalty.
We live our code of values by making our best effort to understand and appreciate the customer's needs in every situation.
We live our code of values
having fun in the process. Very good.
Thank you, guys. One of the things I wanted to just to mention to you is that we have created on RIC, under the forums, a new general discussion that's called the BDA webinar. So if you don't get a chance to ask your questions on this call, or if you have some information that you'd like to add to the call, please go to the to RIC, to the forums, under general discussion, and you'll see the BDA webinar, and just post whatever you have, a remark or question on there, and we'll be monitoring it and trying to get you some of your answers. So without further ado, Ron, I'll turn it over to you.
Very good. Thank you very much, Louis, and welcome everyone, and thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to join us again. This webinar is going to be on marketing to insurance agents, and specifically we're going to dive into the why you would take the time to sell your products and services to an insurance agent, tactics, I guess, and strategies on how to best accomplish that goal. And on the call today and helping to provide the presentation is Debbie Harding, who's part of our national key accounts team, and also Tom Jersick. And Tom is a BDA. Tom has been with the company now for 4 years. He works in Valparaiso, Indiana, the northern Indiana market. And Tom has got an incredible market penetration. I've worked with Tom on various initiatives, and Tom's got some unique strategies for calling on insurance agents. And so he is volunteered to help us out and share some of his strategies with everyone. Now, we want this to be an open forum, but during the presentation, we're going to try to go through the PowerPoint slides as possible, present all the information that is appropriate, and then have plenty of time for questions, answers, and a discussion period at the end of the PowerPoint. So just to reiterate the ground rules, whenever you want to speak, you hit *6. That should unmute your phone, and that way you can offer a question or a comment, and then we'll proceed from there. So thank you very much for doing that. All right, here's what we're going to do. To start things off, since we've still got a lot of people joining the call, we're going to start off with a little humor, a little sales humor via YouTube. So, Aaron, would you go ahead and click on the link, please?
worked hard enough, he could do anything he wanted.
Are you able to see it?
Commercial there. There you go. Here we go. All right. Turn the volume up.
It's gonna be me. It's gonna be. Are you ready? Yeah. Sorry, I'm ready. Hey, does this suit make me look fat? No. Your face does. Okay, let's check you out. All right. It's a clip, huh? Are you sure? All right, now it's sale time. So remember, we don't take no shit from anyone. No. We don't take no prisoners. We don't take no for an answer. Oh yeah, we don't take no for an answer. We don't take no for an answer. We don't take no for an answer.
Hello?
Hi, Mr. Davis. This is Ron calling you from the Daily News. How you doing this morning?
It's Davis, and I'm not interested.
Okay, I'm sorry to bother you. Have a nice day.
Wait a minute. Wait, that's your pitch? You consider that a sales call?
Well,
You know, I get a call from you guys every Saturday, and it's always the same half-assed attempt. If you guys want to close me, you should sell me.
all right.
All right, start again.
Okay. Hi. This is Ron from the Daily News. How you doing this morning?
Shitty, what do you want?
It's not what I want, sir. It's what you want.
Ron, now we're talking. All right, what are you selling me?
I'm offering you a subscription to the Daily News at a substantially reduced price. We're trying to reach out to people that have never had home delivery before.
Right, so basically you're saying that everybody else who already has a subscription is getting on this one?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, well, I can handle that. So tell me, why should I buy your paper? I mean, you know, I mean, why shouldn't I get the Times or the Voice, you know?
Well, the Village Voice is free, sir. So if you want it, you should certainly pick it up. But the Daily News offers you something no other paper can. A real taste of New York. We have the best features, more photographs than any other daily in New York, and we have the most reliable delivery in the city. Now, what do you think?
You know what I think, Ron? I think that was a sales call. Good job, buddy.
So you're going to buy a subscription?
No, I already get the Times.
Hey, what's your name? Helen. That's nice. You look like a Helen. Helen, we're both in sales. Let me tell you why I suck as a salesman. Let's say I go into some guy's office. Let's say he's even remotely interested in buying something. Well, then I get all excited. I'm like, Jojo, the idiot circus boy with a pretty new pet. The pet is my possible sale. Oh, my pretty little pet. I love you. So I stroke it, and I pet it, and I massage it. Yeah, I love it. I love my little naughty pet. You're naughty. And then I take my naughty pet and I go. Oh! I killed it! I killed my sale. That's when I blow it.
As we're adding a little something to this month's sales contest, as you all know, first prize is a Cadillac Eldorado. Anybody want to see second prize? Second prize is a set of steak knives. Third prize is you're fired. A, B, C. A, always B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing. AIDA, attention, interest, decision, action. Attention. Do I have your attention? Interest. Are you interested? I know you are, because it's or walk. You close or you hit the bricks. Decision. Have you made your decision for Christ? An action.
Let's say you're driving along the road with your family, and you're driving along, la la la, woo, and then all of a sudden there's a truck tire in the middle of the road, and you hit the brakes. Whoa, that was close. Now let's see what happens when you're driving with the other guy's brake pads. You're driving along, and all of a sudden the kids are yelling from the back seat, I gotta go to the bathroom, Daddy. Not now, damn it. Truck tire. I can't stop. Help! There's a cliff. And your family's screaming, oh my God, we're burning alive. No, I can't feel my legs. Here comes the meat wagon.
And the medic gets out and says, "Oh my God." New guy's in the corner puking his guts out. All because you want to save a couple extra pennies. And to me, it doesn't. Get out. Now. Do you validate? No. Okay, thank you.
I never did introduce myself. Del Griffith, American Light and Fixture, Director of Sales, Shower Curtain Ring Division. I sell shower curtain rings. Best in the world. How do you do, ma'am? My name is Del Griffith. I'm with the American Light and Fixture Company, Jewelry Division, and I've got the deal of a lifetime for you. Do you have a minute? This is your Diane Sawyer autographed earring. You ever watch 60 Minutes? Thanks. This is Czechoslovakian ivory. That's $5. Great. This is your Walter Cronkite moon ring. Thank you. They are filled with helium, so they're very light. Thank you. This is an autographed Darryl Strawberry earring. You could pass for 18 or 19.
All right, I'm sure after watching those videos and especially listening to the audio, we can relate to all those at one point or in time or another. The key thing I think that all those little short video snippets had to offer is the fact that preparation is key. If you're not prepared to make a sales call, you're not going to make a sales call. We don't get paid to make social visits. We don't get paid to drop off notepads or pens. We get paid to tell our customers, mainly those insurance customers, that we have the best solutions to their problems. And their problems we have to identify as property restoration services. So we're going to go through the step-by-step basis today of a general sales call to an insurance agent and the best strategies to use for making sure you have a compelling sales presentation. So next slide, please, Aaron. I guess the best thing to start with is why insurance agents. And Debbie, would you kind of lead us through this slide, please?
Sure. I'm so glad everyone can be here, but for one, they're everywhere. I used to do what all of y'all did several years ago, and I still, to this day, 3 to 4 years later, see insurance agents on all the different corners. I'm like, oh, I didn't see that one. I didn't see that one. So they're everywhere, which makes traveling so much easier. You know, you just hit an area of town, and you could probably find 5 to 10 different agents. So they're everywhere. Easy to find. There's not a lot of, research that would go along with that because they're everywhere. They also are expecting you. Our competitors, they visit these insurance agents on a monthly, weekly basis. So they're expecting you. They know that they are going to have sales calls. Sales people come into their offices every day. My opinion is then if they're expecting me, then why not go? And why not let them hear why we're the best option? If they're expecting me, that also takes off a lot of the pressure that I feel when I walk in or before I walk into a new place. Because they're expecting me. The staff and agents, a lot of times, they're the ones who are actually calling in the claim. If even though they say they're giving a call the 1-800 number, many times the staff members are calling the adjuster, calling the restoration company, giving them names to call. So we want our names to be one of those names. And they're never going to give our name if we don't go see them. And they're also prospects for the CE classes. Most everywhere you go, if you have an insurance license, you need to have continuing ed classes. So once again, you're looking like the expert by giving them opportunities to do the CE classes.
And Debbie, we have all kinds of other tools available too. On RIC, in the library section, in the marketing and sales folder, there is just a plethora of different materials. We have ad builder. You can set up your task. And I think that one of the things that you mentioned, Debbie, is the fact that they're expecting you. You know, insurance professionals, they have a lot of people that do call in their offices, but those are the people that they do business with. In a prior life, I worked for a company that was a very similar company as far as we were an insurance services group. So we actually we had a focus group of insurance agents who didn't know that we were actually going to do this poll. They thought they were going to take a different poll. We actually had them in a room, and one of the questions we ended up asking them in a roundabout way was, why do you do business with providers that you do business with in your office? What's the compelling reason? And the number one reason was those people took the time to call in my office. In the world of insurance agents in particular, they're salespeople, okay? Salespeople appreciate another salesperson rather. So if you don't take the time to make the sales call, that you're guaranteed not to make that call. It's 100% completion ratio of you'll never sell the calls that you don't walk in the door to make. So making those calls is the number one step. All right, next slide, Aaron. Kind of the sales call process we're going to outline today is basically a 4 or 5 step process. The first part is relationship. And the relationship is establishing trust. It's getting to know the person. They get to know you. It's just that familiarity. People like to do business with people they know and they trust. So establishing that rapport, establishing that trust is a key and critical element of the sales process. The second step we're going to cover is what's called discovery. Discovery is the process of asking the right questions. It's called probing in some sales training. It's getting to ask the questions where you find out what's important to your prospect. For our services, for example, we want to find out what it is that makes them call one restoration company or another. Is it service? Is it price? Is it the stupid pen I'm dropping off to them? What is that compelling decision-making process that they take? The third step is the presentation. In the presentation, we address the needs we uncover in the discovery process. So through the discovery process, we ask the right questions, find out what's important to the customer or the prospect. Then we present and address those needs and solve those problems. The fourth is to close. You know, that's the logical conclusion of the sales call. Closing is basically quite simple, asking for the business. And there are various ways of doing that without selling or sounding like a used car salesman. The last step is really support. You know, just because we have that first job from that insurance agent, that insurance adjuster, whatever the customer is, doesn't mean that we're going to get the second, the third, the fourth. We need to continue to support that effort to make sure that that customer understands that we are their best choice and their best solution for their problem. Because every day we're not out selling, our competitors are, and they're selling against us just like we're selling against them. So I like to call this missionary sales because I think it's a process where, you know, we have to keep on going out and preaching, which is selling and selling continually through the process. Next slide, please, Aaron. All right, building the relationships. Debbie, can you walk us through this process a little bit? You've been very successful with building relationships and that lead to sales.
Okay, thank you. You've actually said this one just a few minutes ago, and probably will hear it time and time again, that people like to do business with people like themselves, the people that they trust, the people that they like. Still to this day, 4 years later, I have people asking about me when other people go into the office and they know that I used to work for that company, and they genuinely enjoy doing business with those people that they built those relationships with over the years. So each time you walk into an office, it's that connection to your audience. So our audience, when we go into an insurance agent, is the staff member that just is sitting right there at that front door and looking around at the different things that are in the office, whether it's a picture of a family member or a diploma, those different things, or maybe it's hunting, whatever those things are, you can build those connections more easily. So you see that somebody has a kids that are around your age, easy. Oh my goodness. And you can talk about those kids. Or like myself, I have older kids and I would connect with them. Oh, I remember when my kids were so much younger. So finding those direct connections, whether they might have actually even graduated from your same college. So there's that alumni connection. And before you go in, you can do some research to maybe even help you find those connections as you go in. LinkedIn, Facebook. I know I've had a lot of success with LinkedIn and actually asking for appointments. When you go onto LinkedIn, you can actually look. Hopefully, y'all are already doing this, and I just may be telling you something you already know. But the LinkedIn, you can actually find those businesses, those insurance companies, start following them so you can actually see what their company is saying, and then find the people that you are linked to. Facebook is the same way. I have more luck with LinkedIn. And I've also found that especially if I've never met them, sending an email once we've connected through LinkedIn, I have probably a 70% more success rate of getting a return email back from them with, yes, let's meet with you, here's the day, or even don't have time right now, but at least it's a response, which is better than just kind of a blank email sent to them. So those are great tools at LinkedIn. I can't emphasize those, enough. And this, thinking about your audience, which is sometimes hard for us salespeople because we think about how it's going to benefit us. But if we sometimes put ourselves in their position, it will help us actually relate to them. We know, if we were sitting on that side, we're not the only person that comes in a day. We've already talked about our competitors coming in and talking to them, and that's just in the restoration industry, not including the glass industry and different industries that might need referrals from insurance agents. So understanding that you're not the only one that's visiting them can kind of sometimes put them at ease. I know you have a busy day. I'm just here, just for a short bit, just want to take a little bit of your time. Understanding sometimes why they may be a little gruff around the edges, when they're telling you we're busy. Well, they really are, and you might be the sixth person that has come in their office in the last hour. So just kind of relating to them, understanding that they do have a lot of things going, and that's not even including the phone calls and the different reports that they have to run. So that's the next slide.
This law of reciprocity. The most simplest law of reciprocity is if I walk up to a perfect stranger and I say, hi, my name is Ron Clausen, I reach out my hand, chances are that person is going to reach out, take my hand, and introduce themselves as well. So if we give our customers, reasons to discuss what their life is all about and gain what's called empathy, we want our customers to feel good about doing business with us. We want them to think or to know that we actually care. And we do. We care about them because whatever we do for their clients is a direct reflection back on them. So we want to communicate that at every opportunity. Being a listener is a key thing. It's in our code of values. Listening with the intent to understand what is being said and acknowledging that what is said is important to the speaker. One of the things you can do to practice this is when you meet someone for the first time, try to focus really in on what they're saying. It's really difficult to discipline yourself to do this. But try to block everything out of your mind, all those other things are going on through your mind. You're worrying about how you look and what you're saying and all that kind of thing. Really take the time to listen to them. When people actually take the time, look in their eye, listen to what they're saying, it gives you opportunities to ask clarifying questions, which is another part of our code of values. In other words, well, that was interesting what you said, Mary. Can you explain a little bit more about how you deal with restoration companies? Can you explain a little bit more about your focused customer here at the Acme Insurance Agency? So making sure we listen and look for sales opportunities. One of my mentors once told me a long looking for opportunities to sell. The way you do that is by being a very good listener. One of the cardinal rules of selling is interrupting your customer mid-sentence. I mean, that shows that you don't really care about what they're saying. You're more important. You feel you're more important than what they are. Other things are drifting, not making good eye contact, body language, making sure you have an open stance. You don't have your arms crossed or you're looking away somewhere. Making sure your body language matches your intent. When we express empathy, then we get our customer to talk to us about what's most important to them. What do they look for as far as solutions to the restoration problem? Then we have to express what's called competency. We have to let them know that, hey, we're your best choice. And if you don't firmly believe that as a salesperson, if you don't firmly believe that your franchise and your location offers the best service in your area, then you should quit and get another job, quite frankly. Because if you don't have passion for this, you're never going to be able to communicate that passion, and you're not going to be able to sell anything. So, you need to really believe that you are the best solution in your market, and you have to communicate that with passion and confidence. That will equate to your customer having total confidence in you and raising your confidence and your credibility with that customer. You put together the empathy where they think that you really do care for them, and they have trust in your ability to solve those problems, then that equals a trusting sales relationship and one that's going to generate business. Aaron, next slide, please. All right, the discovery process is a key step. Asking the right questions at the right time. So, Tom, would you kind of lead us through these next couple slides, please?
Will do. Hello, everyone. Discovery, I believe, is probably the most important function for the BDA to do in its first couple meetings. You can only get so much off the internet. For example, if you go into a State Farm office, you might know who the head agent is, but you don't know who the gatekeeper is. You don't know who is handling the service part of things, and you don't know who is just simply sales. So if your BDA goes in there and wants to talk to the agent whose number one function is to sell, you might not be talking to the person who is the one answering the service calls to send out the claims, the referrals. So I've always found beneficial that even when I'm meeting a client for the first time, or even when we started, we set out a game plan that the first 2, maybe 3 visits was to capture all that data, business cards, find out, ask the agent, who would you rather me talk to when I do come in, and who to discuss the claims process as we're going. And then at the same time, when you make that introduction to the agent, you don't want to go in there right away, guns a-blazing, asking for work. You haven't even set any credibility for yourself yet. You don't know. There could be some cases you can go in there and find out, 2-3 months down the line that he doesn't even sell home insurance policies. So you're talking to a guy who just does auto or life. So that discovery process is very key. Asking, do you refer out? So do you have a preferred vendor at this time? Most of them will tell you, especially if they want you to get out of the office. They might tell you that they don't refer out. No, I do not. They might tell you, yeah, I'm really good friends with the guy that ServPro. That's a competitor of yours, correct? If they're not comfortable with you, they're probably going to answer that very short. Then, if they do answer that, yes, I refer out. Then you can ask them, have you had any problems in the past? Once again, ask it another question. Trying to find that, well, yeah, actually, you know what? The company we refer out to, they seem to be a little bit high on their pricing. They always seem to be gouging me. They're not in and out in 3 days. Sometimes they're there for a week. You're going to start hearing some horror stories. Lost items, customers calling back complaining. And some of those will actually lead to the agent saying, well, that is exactly why I don't like to refer out. Your BDA should know the 17-step protocol for rainbow franchises and use that 17 steps to answer those questions. So when the agent gives you the negative, you turn around and answer right back. Well, one of the steps that we do is that we do a pre-scope. And that scope, we can talk to your adjuster and let you know what we're going to do before we even do it. We can talk to your homeowner and let them know the process, the estimated time that it's going to take to get them back to their pre-loss condition. This is something that a BDA can easily do because it's coming right off the 17 steps. They don't need to be a technician to know how. And at the same time, a BDA shouldn't have to get too technical. They're focused on the sales process, finding the needs, and then give them the benefits and the features and benefits.
Next slide, Aaron.
So yeah, the open-ended questions, even if you try, some of them, if the agent isn't giving you his full attention, even if you try to ask the open-ended questions, they still might give you the short version, no, yes, and then that would be a good time as you're in the discovery process to find out that maybe it's not the best time to deliver your punchline or your message of the month because you don't have his full attention. Um, go with the best listener. Sometimes watching their body language. There's been times where I've gone into an office and I notice the agent constantly refers back to his monitor screen. So clearly there's something more important on that screen than my visit. It doesn't mean they don't like me or want to hear what I have to say, but something's caught their attention. So I might not get the best bang for my buck with that particular meeting. So that is an opportunity where you want to say, you know what, Aaron, I see that you're a little bit busy right now. How about I come back? What would be a good time to come back? That might actually pull them away from the screen because now she has to actually come up with a better answer than no or yes. And then in doing so, then you can come back and meet that request and then deliver the rest of your message.
And Tom, that's showing empathy as well. That's showing that you have empathy for the customer. If they're preoccupied, that's not the best time to be selling. If they've got 4 people lined up and 3 lines ringing off the hook, it's what? We're not making much of a good sales call then. So showing empathy, in other words, realizing that they're not in the prime position to talk with us right now, is a form of empathy. That is, and I've done the same thing. I've walked into offices before and caught people at the wrong time. I just take my business card off, drop it at the desk, and go, I'm sorry, I caught you at that time, and walk out. And I found that in subsequent sales calls to that same prospect, I've had people that apologize. Hey, I'm so sorry. I was so busy last month when you were in. Well, no problem. I understand. You got a business here to run. Sometimes it affects me that way because we get busy in our business as well. And so we have to do the same thing. There again, you're showing empathy and you're starting to develop that relationship and building trust. So the discovery process, I agree with Tom. It's one of the key elements. We have to know what we're selling before we go through the process. And the discovery process is making sure you do have the right prospect, that you have whatever your goal is for that particular call, that you're going to be able to match that goal with the customer and the prospect that you're trying to address. So asking them things like, as simple as, is this a good time for you? Do you have 5 minutes? Have you ever had a fire and smoke claim go bad? Have you ever had a water claim that didn't go the way you want to? Do you ever wonder how restoration companies clean all that smoke damage out of a home? Well, those are all open-ended questions that provide your customer with an opportunity to answer you and give you really permission to proceed forward with that sales call. So the discovery process is key, and that's one of the skills, some skill sets that's very hard to develop from a sales perspective. So one of the things I would recommend is put yourself in the customer's position. Think about you making a sales call to them and kind of flip the things in your mind. And if you were sitting behind that desk and it was, Ron Clausen, State Farm, what would I want a restoration company to say to me? So one of the things you always have to remember is because members of the insurance industry, specifically in the agent side, they are paid professional salespeople. They've been highly trained, and they will appreciate a fellow salesperson as long as we make a very compelling, complete sales call. And the 5 steps that we've already outlined that we're going through right now are part of a professional sales call. So ask them the right questions. Think back about the little video that we saw when we started this morning. My favorite segment of that video was the guy on the phone. And the guy, picks up, hey, would you like to get the time? No, not really. Okay, thank you. And the guy stops and goes, wait a minute, you call me every Saturday. Make a sales presentation, make a call. And so the salesperson on the other line with the phone does ask some open-ended questions and doesn't really complete the call, but at least he makes a call. And don't go through the process. You're just spinning your wheels. You're just walking into an office and dropping a notepad and a pen and, hey, keep me in mind. That is not a sales call. Asking qualifying questions, open-ended, discovery-related questions is the key to a sales call. Thank you, Tom. Aaron, next slide, please. All right, in the presentation, this is the step where we've uncovered some need from the customer, or we at least have got their attention. At that point in time, we can go into a sales presentation. One of the things that really is a key opportunity in our world is, let's say I walk in, hey, I'm Ron Clausen from Rainbow International. Oh yeah, you guys are just like, and I'm sure everyone on this call today has heard that. Oh, you guys are just like such and such. And I love this because that's an opportunity. That's a sales opportunity. And then when they say that, I let them come back with, well, actually, we're in the same industry, but there's a lot of things that actually separate us. When you say something like that, that is something that is going to get people to think, and they're probably going to ask you, like what? Well, when they ask you a question, that's an opportunity. That means that they want to know more. Well, obviously in our industry, and specifically with our company, Rainbow International, there are 4 distinct elements that really separate us from the competition. We're going to go through those just briefly. For example, number 1 is ethics. We recited our code of values this morning. And for those of you who believe in our code of values, and hopefully everyone on this call does, that is a differentiating factor. In sales, what we're trying to do is separate our products and our services from our competitors. These 4 elements are 4 things that actually separate us. For example, the ethics. We have a strict code of values, and everybody knows the code of values. You recite them on a regular basis. That is a key differentiating factor. We have the consistency, the 17 steps of customer service. And anyone in this room walks into a Subway restaurant, wherever your city is, you walk into Subway, they're all lined up the same way. It goes the bread, the meat, the vegetables, the cash register. Okay? And you know whatever your favorite Subway sandwich is, whatever Subway you go to across the country, they're going to make it the same way. We respect consistency. So we have consistencies as well in the fact that we have 17 steps that lead to a positive customer experience. Number 3, claim severity reduction. Well, obviously one of our key phrases is aggressive mitigation. Studies have proven that by mitigating a loss, we can have far less severity or cost of that loss than doing reconstruction. So using the phrase aggressive mitigation should be part of your vocabulary. We here at Rainbow International, we believe in aggressive mitigation. Well, that's a phrase that most people haven't heard of before, and you're going to pique their interest. They're going to go, what do you mean by that? And it gives you an opportunity then to sell. And we're going to talk more about feature benefit selling. Accountability, we have our Net Promoter Score system, and we're going to briefly talk about that today. Also, the Rainbow Manager and the program management SLAs that we're all under, those help as a differentiating factor as well. Next slide, Aaron. All right, we're gonna kind of share and go through these briefly. I'm going to start with the first one, code of values. How does our code of values separate us from our competitors? Well, most everyone in business considers themselves to be an ethical person. Okay, you go into any of your customers, and I challenge you to do this for the next week, and say, hey, can you tell me, do you consider yourself an ethical person? Every one of your customers is going to say, well, of course I consider myself an ethical person. There again, people like to do business with people they like and people they view as having similar values and similar, I guess, personalities than themselves. So, here at Rainbow International, we have a code of values. And if you don't have it on the back of your business card, you should maybe invest in getting some small business card or small sizes of some type of a promotional material. We have them on Ad Builder that show our code of values. You give the code of values, a copy of them, to your prospect and say, one of the things that makes us different is we have an adherence to ethics here at our company. And talk about pick out one of the code of values. You don't have to go through the whole thing, but just pick out one that you feel through your discovery process and relationship building that might be relevant to your customer. That is a differentiating factor. I can tell you that I used our code of values on national account sales. I go out, we talk to a vice president of the claim, and oh yeah, you guys are just like this. There's a couple things that make us different. When I bring up the code of values, I found that many insurance companies also have a similar code of values or some type of a mission statement or ethical position in the marketplace where they have similar values than we do. And there again, getting to know your customer is very important. If State Farm is big in your area, and something, you should know a little bit about State Farm. You should be visiting State Farm's website. You should know what their target customer looks like. You should know what their rates are like in the area. Are they competitive? On the low side or on the high side of rates in your particular market? I recently made a sales call on a national carrier that carrier has a strong ethical position, and each one of their employees actually has to take a brief ethics training class when they join this particular insurer. Well, guess what? I played into that and showed them that, something, we're just like you guys are, because we have a strong position in ethics as well. And that helped to aid my relationship process at the top level. Consistency. Deb, you want to talk a little bit about consistency and why that's important and how we can turn that into a compelling sales message?
Sure. Everybody likes consistency. You talked about Subway. We talked about McDonald's. You know that each quarter pounder is going to taste the same whether you're in Texas, New York, Australia, Washington State. So we like that consistency. It makes us feel good. And a lot of times the reasons why agents and their staff won't refer out is because they've had those bad experiences that we've kind of talked about before. And when they bring something like that up, again, no, we've had some issues with some different companies. They just haven't treated my customer right. They weren't comfortable. They looked like they were just on parole. Different things like that. You can bring this up with consistency in our 17 steps. And just telling them that every time we go to a customer, every one of your customers is going to get the same respect, the same service that the next one gets. From when we pull in at the street at your customer's house, all the way to the end. And that actually does give them a little bit of, it's relief, if that's a good word to use at the time, but they know, okay, they're consistent. They're going to actually respect my customer's home. They're going to be professional looking, be professional speaking. They're going to put on their booties. They're going to look nice. They're actually going to make sure that they scope the job, and this is how they do it. And they're going to talk to the customer, talk to me, all those different things. And knowing that here's pictures. We're going to take pictures, and so we can actually document the job. And that is actually a very good source of comfort. They also, they like to give the same customer service to their customers. So that also brings back to the fact that they're doing business with people that care just as much as they do. So that's just
we like to talk about what's called feature benefit selling. It's a real simple selling process. And Aaron, can you give us this next slide, please? All right, so feature and benefit selling is this in a real simple manner. I have a feature. For example, our 17 steps towards world-class customer satisfaction is a feature. Well, we have to tell our customer about how it benefits them. So next slide, please, Aaron. All right, so let's go down to the 17 steps. Tom, you've been doing this for a long time and very successful. What's one of the benefits of our 17 steps process?
One of the benefits is the customers are, each one of his policy holders, your agents, are going to get the same service as the last.
Exactly. So, in other words, just telling our customer that we have 17 steps, that does nothing. We have to tell our customer about the benefit to them. Why would you do business with Rainbow? We have the 17 steps. Well, great. What does that mean to me? That's what your customer is saying when you would call feature dump. When you start going in and saying, well, we have uniformed employees, we do background checks, we have clearly marked logo bands. So what? How does that help me? So we have to connect the feature to the benefit. Well, we have uniformed technicians, and we have background checked employees, and we have clearly marked logoed service units because of the fact we live in very apprehensive times. And when your insured has a loss, it's always an emotional time. Their emotions are a high level. When we show up, we look the part, we're professional looking, we have a properly logo band. That way, when your insured opens up that door, they're assured that the person who's actually there to help them is actually the person who shows up in the job. If we show up in an unmarked vehicle and an improperly uniformed technician, Well, it doesn't exactly instill confidence in the end-use customer. And there again, our services are direct reflection back on that insurance agent, on the insurance company. So that's just a good example of a feature benefit connection. Code of values. Okay, code of values is a feature. What's the benefit, Mr. Insurance Agent? The benefit to us having a strong ethical position is that you can rest assured that we're going to have care for your insureds, that we're operating a top-notch service business. We're not some fly-by-night operation. We're in it for the long haul. We have the same values and the same ethics that you do. We're going to run this business the same way you would. And there again, connect the feature to the benefit. Aaron, next slide, please. All right, the benefits are the because or the why of the feature. So if and pick a feature, okay? Thermal imaging camera. We have a thermal imaging camera. Great. What's that do for me? Well, those of you who are more technically advanced, you know the feature, the benefits of the thermal imaging camera is the thermal imaging camera helps us to find where the water is, where the loss is. The faster we can find the source of the water, the faster we can mitigate the loss. The lower the severity, the higher the customer satisfaction. So you tie the feature to a benefit. So one of the mistakes a lot of salespeople make is called feature dump. We go in, we start just rattling off all these things we do. Oh, we can do this, we can do this, we do this, we have this, we have this. And the customer is looking at us like, great. They think that we all do. When you offer a feature and connect it to a benefit, you separate yourself from the competition. So while our competition, yeah, they might have logoed service units, they might have uniformed technicians, they might do background checks, they might have the exact same things that we do. But our ability to communicate that effectively to our customer is what separates us. And if our competitors are not communicating it that way, the assumption is that they don't have it, and Rainbow does. So that's a key differentiating factor. So there again, never miss an opportunity to sell. And one of the most compelling and simple sales presentation methods is have a feature and connect the feature to a benefit. The benefit is the why or the because of why that is so important, that feature to that customer. So it provides them with value. Next slide, please. All right, presentation. Just some presentation aids we have, and there again, there's all this stuff is available on RIC. We have our Rainbow Restorer. I'm up in Washington State today, where I'm attending an insurance conference, and at the table, at our booth table, we have copies of the latest Rainbow Restorers. There's a lot of claims adjusters there at this conference. Well, there's valuable information for them. So there again, the law of reciprocity. We give them valued information. They might be more inclined to give us work. Every one of you should have a brag book. What's a brag book? Tom, you want to talk about what a brag book is?
Yeah, a brag book would give your agent a little know-how about your franchise. What makes you unique? It would start off with simply when you got started, a little introduction about the owner, his background or her background. Then you can also put in some before and after photos, all your certifications, some of your insurance certificates showing that you are EPA certified. Your team, little bios for each one of your team members. This shows that you're not just, well, some franchises are larger than others, but it can kind of give them a little face to the name. So when you talk about your technician, they can actually in some way meet the technician through the brag book. And then at the end, you can also show them, you can put in there a little bit of the brag book and actual estimates so they can kind of see the detail within the scope of the work.
Excellent. And the brag book can be in a loose leaf binder, or for those of you who are more technologically advanced, it can be a tablet type of a device where you have all kinds of pictures in a folder and different folders all ready to go. So if you go into an insurance agent's office and maybe you're in there to sell fire claims that day, but for some reason the conversation goes over to mold, well, guess what? I'm going to have a whole folder on mold and information and maybe an article or two that is very good information about mold. Pictures, before and after pictures of the jobs I've done. Information, generic information about mold. So all these things are tools that I'm going to have ready to go should that conversation go away from my planned sales call. I'm going to be prepared and have everything ready to go. Monthly marketing message. Our marketing department puts forth a really good tool. We call them white papers. They're available for your use for free. Okay. Many of you are using internet communications. You're using either constant contact or a newsletter of some type, or some type of a regular electronic message. That's great. That's perfect. That's a good complement to your in-person sales call. If you think that those newsletters and electronic media are really going to sell anything, they're a complement. Okay, they're a good another touch. You still have to make that personal connection, build that empathy. An email is not going to build any empathy. An email is going to give them information. It might give a presentation, but if that presentation doesn't match the need, it's useless. So it's a good tool, but still you have to, I guess, monitor that and complement that with an in-person sales call. Aaron, next slide, please. All right. Step 4 is close. Got to ask for the opportunity. You know, the closing is the logical and realistic conclusion of the sales process. And no, we have to go, sit down and go, hey, what's going to take to put you in a water-logged job today? And it's not like selling used cars, but it's asking the customer after you've gone through the relationship process, after you've gone through and asked them the right question, you've made a presentation that addresses the needs uncovered in the discovery process. Then you have to, if at the end, there's usually like a lull and you both look at each other, then you look at that person and go, hey, is there any reason why Rainbow International couldn't have your next water claim? I like the, is there any reason close? Because maybe there is a reason. Maybe the insurance agent or prospect you're talking to, maybe their brother-in-law owns a competitor. Well, if you don't ask the right questions, you're never going to find that out. And you're going to waste your time and, quite frankly, waste their time as well. So closing is asking, is there any reason? Can I have your next claim? Can I have your next 3 claims? Can I have your next smoke claim? Let's talk to you about how Rainbow International has the most highly technological solutions to eliminating fire and smoke damage. Could I have your next fire loss so we can prove this to you? So you just don't know it's not me talking to you here, but we can prove it so you can see it for your own eyes and experience the satisfaction that we can give your clients. Great. So asking for the business is a simple process, but one that many sales professionals tend to forget about because we chicken out. We think we've done everything right, and we're going like, all right, that person's going to call. I just know they are. Well, if we don't really ask for it, we're never probably going to get that call. So it's just a logical conclusion. And throughout your day, you get a lot of closes done to you during the sales process. Debbie, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, even if they were to say that their brother-in-law owned a competitor, that's still a good time. You can still continue to close that. Don't just give up and hang your head, because a lot of times you can say, that is so good. I'm glad you have somebody you can trust. But if they get too busy, would you please consider us as your next choice? And so,
exactly.
and there's no reason for them, there might be another reason, but that also gives them another chance to keep talking and to maybe get a job down the road too. So that's all I was going to say.
Yeah, and your close it has to be personal and something that you're comfortable with. And one of the things that we're going to advocate through this process is practice. Practice with other team members rather. I know Tom and I had a conversation yesterday, and Tom practices with the franchise owner. So the franchise owner becomes the customer, Tom becomes the salesperson. And I know the owner of the franchise that Tom's part of, and he can be very critical, not in a mean way, but he's going to offer good constructive criticism. And then sometimes you can flip and role play the other way to where you, the BDA, is getting a sales presentation from the owner of the franchise or the general manager. So practicing this process is key and critical. I mean, it's just to use a sports analogy. If you're a basketball player, even the professional level, they practice every single day for hours at a time. And if we're going to consider ourselves to be professionals, sales professionals, we need to practice as well. So practice on a family member, a team member, a good friend. If one of the things I would recommend, if you have a friend who's in sales as well, practice with them. Okay, they're going to give you an honest assessment of your presentation. And I can tell you this, if you can get good practicing in front of a team member or a friend, a customer, more of a connection there is going to be 10 times easier. So practice is key and critical. Next slide, Aaron. All right, support. This is the key thing. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management, and I put this thing in here. Your memory isn't that good. Maybe yours is. Mine isn't. And so I've left sales calls and thought, man, this is really good. I connected with 3 people in here. I had a really good sales call, and then I forget to write everybody's name down. And a month later, when I go to make that subsequent sales call again on that particular customer, I can't remember anybody's name. Or maybe I wrote down 3 names, but I can't remember. There's three guys in that office. Which one was Tom? Which one was Ron? Which one was Lewis? I can't remember which one. So often in my CRM, I will put in actually physical description. Tom, he's the handsome young man. And, so I put on all that other kind of stuff just to remind myself. Because most of you, or you either do or you should have, a considerable book of business. In other words, you're calling on a lot of insurance agencies, other mixes of business. You probably have about 250 accounts that you're trying to maintain at one time. There's no way that anybody can remember all those names and all those connections. So writing it down, and preferably using Rainbow Manager, because there's a very functional CRM tool as part of that program. All right, next slide.
Hey, Ron, something real quick on
Yes,
that.
Tom, please. Yeah.
For those BDAs that are on the phone that's been doing this for a while, you probably would also say that one of the hardest things is how frequently these offices switch CSRs and sales staff. You'll go into one agent's office and there's Beth, the State Farm CSR, and then next sales call she's not there, but you find her, 3 routes later or 3 stops later. A lot of the insurance companies, they do switch personnel. So if you walk into an office and you forgot to give yourself some type of notification on where they sit or who they are, or like Ron said, a physical description, and you walk in there and say, hey, Beth, and Beth hasn't been in the office for a month, now you lost a little bit of the credibility, especially with the person you're talking to. Well, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know this office. Why should I listen to him or her? So it is crucial to, now I've met a lot of franchise BDAs and franchise owners who say, well, I really don't care about the CSRs. I really want to know the agent and whoever handles claims in there. But sometimes you can't get to them without actually knowing who the gatekeeper is. So maybe you don't put them into your CRM tool, but you definitely should have some type of system where right before you walk in, even if it's a little notepad, and you flip to that page and you say, okay, for this particular agent, these are the 3 people in. And when you walk in there and you notice somebody's gone, then you can say, well, Debbie, I see Ron has left. Where did Ron go? Now they think you care, and that'll go a long way for those who are still in the office. That's all.
Exactly. I had some of my customers at one time said, do you write down everybody's names? And I said, absolutely. I said, you're just that important to me. I don't want to forget your name. I call in a lot of places. So yes, you're important enough to me that I do write your name down. Well, there again, building empathy. I just told that person they're important to me. Well, guess what? My credibility was raised then. Aaron, in interest of time, could you advance 3 slides for me to the how many slide? Thank you very much. One of the big questions is how many calls do you need to make? Well, when I manage salespeople, I demanded 15 to 18 sales calls minimum per day. Okay, which meant basically, there's some days when you're going to make 10 sales calls, and there's other days, let's face it, the calls go really quickly. You make 25. Okay, so when you average them out, we advocate what's called the 100-point system. The 100-point system is this. For every sales call you go into, and you just go in and maybe they're really busy or you don't really get the chance to ask the right questions or make a complete presentation, you don't have an opportunity for a complete sales call. That's a 1-point call. For every call you go into and you have the complete process where you have a relationship, you ask the right discovery questions, you present to a need that you uncovered during a discovery process, you ask for the business, and then you support. That's a 100-point, that's called a 3-point call. In the course of a week, you should be able to accumulate 100 points. So obviously, 34 complete sales calls is 100 points. 100 simple sales calls is 100 points. So you do the math. Next slide. All right, just in quick review. Make sure you know your customer. Tom mentioned looking at the internet. Debbie mentioned LinkedIn. Those are all good tools to know more about your customer. And in sales, that's one of the laws of sales. You have to know who your customer is. So know the products they write. If it's an independent agent and they write for a bunch of companies, make sure you know all the companies they represent. That helps to build a relationship. Discovery, asking questions. And there again, practice asking those questions. Which are the most compelling questions? Which are the best questions? Presentation, that's addressing a need uncovered in discovery process. And specifically, going through this presentation of the 4 things that make us different is really big. Ask for the business at the end and continue to support the process. All right, we're going to open things up right now for questions and comments. If you'd like to ask a question, I ask you unmute your phone by hitting *6, state your name, and please ask your question or make your comment. Thank you. Anyone? One at a time, please. Come on, we didn't do that good a job. Come on, anybody with a question, comment?
Make sure everybody's unmuted.
Well, I see by the invite list we have a lot of seasoned veterans on the call. I appreciate all you folks taking the time out of your day to jump on this call and this webinar. We hope we presented some things. If you're a newer person to Rainbow, hope we gave you some foundation for making your sales call process. If you're one of the veterans out there, and I see quite a few of them on the list here, hopefully we just kind of reminded you of some of the things that maybe you've gotten away from a little bit. I've taken a lot of different sales classes in my time, and usually when I take a sales class, it's to remind me of the process that I already know that just through bad habits I tend to get away from. So that's why we do some of these things. It's a little bit of a review for you sales professionals out there, but hopefully it's been helpful to you. Last chance for question or comment. Very good. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Happy selling. Good luck.